The fires around Los Angeles have caused an incredible amount of damage and heartbreak, with over 12,000 structures completely destroyed. As of Tuesday, fires are burning approximately 40,000 acres, with nearly 200,000 residents under either mandatory evacuation orders or evacuation warnings. While the focus is, of course, to contain these fires right now, it's worth having a look at the Los Angeles housing market as it stands right now and how these fires could impact the local housing market, including, unfortunately, price gouging. I'll also provide a link below for additional resources if you are impacted by these fires. And of course, if you are, my heart goes out to you guys. I first want to talk about price gouging and have a look at the government website regarding that. It says this is from the Governor's Office of Emergency Services. And if you scroll down, it looks at Los Angeles, and of course, the fire that started on January 7th. And this is price gouging protections in place until, and for rents, it's actually February 6, 2025, subject to Penal Code 396. So here's what I did. Here's the actual Penal Code 396. So here's Part E and D. Upon this emergency declaration by the President of the U.S. or the Governor, to make that declaration in any city or county for a period of 30 days following this declaration of a natural disaster area, that it is unlawful for any person, business, or other entity to increase the rental price by more than 10%. Therefore, it is unlawful for a landlord to ask for 10% more than they were previously asking for once this declaration took place on January 7th. So I just did a really quick Google search on Zillow.com for what appears to be price gouging. If I go to Santa Monica, look for places for rent for single-family houses as of today, which is on January 14th, there is right now 32 rentals available. Here's what I found, which what appears to be price gouging. $12,000 per month for a 4-bedroom, 3-bath for nearly 2,300 square feet. According to Zillow, it's been on the market for 5 days. They have 101 contacts and 2 applications on Zillow. And if you go down here, take a look at this. It sold on August 14th, 2023 for just over $2 million. And it was listed about 1 year later for rent at $11,000 per month. Then about 1 month later, October 19th, they did a price reduction down to $10,900 per month. Then about 1 week later, they decreased the price again to $10,500. And the listing was removed right before the holidays on November 23rd, 2024. Then about 3 days after this fire occurred in Pacific Palisades, they listed the rent for $12,000, right? They couldn't get their price back in the late part of 24, and they increased the rent up by 14.3%. Again, the penal code, states it cannot be for more than 10%. And that's just one. Take a look at this one, which also appears to be price gouging as well. $9,950 per month for a 4-bedroom, 4-bath, 3,500 square feet. They have 45 contacts, 5 applications for this, and 6 days on Zillow. Scrolling below, you can see this right here. Last year on June 15th, they listed this one for $9,500. They did a price drop on September 2nd. They removed it on about 1 week later, then relisted it for $8,750, the exact same price back in early September. And again, removing the listing, relisting it for basically the same price until we hit 1 day after the fires occurred, right? $12,500, a 42.9% increase compared to their asking. That was back in November last year. But they got smart though, because a week later, which is on January 14th, which is today, they reduced the price to an asking of $9,950. That is though a 14% increase compared to the previous listing that was in November last year. Here's yet another one, $8,400 per month, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,400 square feet. They have 2 applications. And let's look at the price history as well. It was last listed for rent on September 30th for $7,200. But then on January 14th, which again is today, it was listed for rent about 17% higher at $8,400. Please leave me a comment below if you guys think this is price gouging or not. Last one. And this is just a quick Google search looking at rentals right now. This excludes any rentals that were on the market in which the landlord already signed an agreement with a rental or a tenant. So this one's for a whopping $23,500 per month, 5 bedroom, 7 bath, around 4,700 square feet. And looking at the price history, take a look at this. Before this national disaster occurred on January 7th, on January 3rd, the asking was $19,950. Then, 3 days after this national disaster was occurred, the price reduction, or price increase, I should say, increased to $23,500, an increase of 17.8%. And again, these are only asking rents right now, excludes any ones that went under contract with a tenant. Anyways, let me comment below with your thoughts regarding that. So that's that. Disgraceful to say the least, in my opinion. Let's talk about what's the housing market in LA, how it looks right now, at least based on the most recent data we have, and how these fires may impact the housing market. So here is looking at inventory according to ResiClubAnalytics.com, really good website if you guys want to learn about housing market trends. So as of December, national active inventory for sale, in other words, the amount of houses for sale nationwide this December, I should say December 24 compared to December 23, was up by 22%. However, there's still about 16% fewer existing houses for sale nationwide compared to December of 2019. So we're up by 22% year over year, but still down by about 16% compared to pre-COVID levels. Resi Club also provided the inventory levels for each December going back to 2016. So right now there is 9,954 active listings by the end of December last year. That's higher than 23, 22, 21, 2020, as well as 2019, but below levels in 2018. Back then there was 13,906 houses for sale. So inventory in Los Angeles County is only up by 1.4% compared to December of 2019. So obviously a little bit higher compared to the national average, but really close to levels we saw back in 2019. But we're still below 2016 as well and 2018. Here's yet another way to look at this. Here is inventory levels for the Los Angeles metro area, which includes Los Angeles, Long Beach, and Anaheim, California, how it compares to the national average. So the 2-year change is up by 20% for the national average, but in the Los Angeles metro area, it's only up by 3%. The 3-year change is pretty close, up by 96% nationally, but only an increase of 79% in LA. And also only a 5% increase compared to 4 years ago, whereas the national average is up by 42%. Now looking at the 5-year chart from December 19 through December of 24, it's very, very close. But you can see a lack of inventory levels over the past several years though. Here's yet another way to look at this. Right now, there's around 12,700 houses for sale as of the end of December, higher than last year, higher than a little bit higher compared to 22, obviously way higher than 21 and 2020. But this December at 12,686. We're looking at the metro area, not the county. Just under 12,700, way lower compared to 2019, a lot lower compared to 2018. Back then there was about 20,000 houses for sale. We're also below levels in 2017 as well. Let's also have a look at this share of price reductions on altosresearch.com. This is in the Los Angeles metro area. So share of price drops for the week ended January 10th this year is around 32%. So approximately 1/3 of all houses listed for sale in Los Angeles over this past week have reduced their asking price. That is roughly on par with about a year ago when the share was also around 31%. Also at 32%, this is lower than the same time frame in 23 though. Back then it was at 36%. Obviously we're going to be higher than 22 and 21. Looking at pre-COVID levels, right before that, January 24th, 2020, the share was only at 26%. So we're higher compared to pre-COVID levels and higher compared to the craziness back then we had 3% mortgage rates, and therefore the share of price drops in 22 and 21 were very, very low. Now looking at another data source, looking at Redfin's data center, let's look at new listings, pending sales, and of course inventory levels. So looking at new listings, this is a measure of people listing their house for sale. For the 4 weeks ended January 5th, obviously before this disaster occurred, pending home sales decreased by 2% year over year. Meanwhile, though, pending sales, a measure of contracts being signed between buyers and sellers, increased by 2.1%. So new supply in the market went down year over year, but contracts being signed actually increased by 2%. In regards to houses that actually have sold, that actually increased a whopping 15.3%. And looking at active listings, or the amount of houses for sale, that rose by 15.44% over the past 4 weeks. Also, let's have a look at the average sale price to final list price ratio. That's at 99.8%, which means on average, home sellers sold their houses for their asking price over the past 4 weeks. This is roughly on par with what we saw back in 2024, but higher than 2023, but still lower than the craziness of 2021. Back then, to start the year, homes were selling about 2.5 percentage points over the seller's asking price. So here's my take regarding today's video regarding how these fires are going to impact the housing market. I think we're going to see bidding wars on rentals for areas that are very close to these fires, such as Santa Monica, maybe West Hollywood, for example, Beverly Hills, all these areas that are very close to these fires in which all these people lost their houses. There's around 10,000 houses that have been completely destroyed. So areas that are very close to these fires that are not impacted by fires, they're not under threats of being evacuated, those areas are going to see a massive increase in demand due to a lack of supply, and also due to this sudden impact and disaster in which 10,000 people, households, suddenly have to find a place to live. So demand increasing and supply decreasing due to fires, but also due to demand as well. As demand increases, as you guys saw, multiple applications for these houses for rent, you'll probably see multiple bidding wars for houses for sale, plus rentals as well. You also could see this scenario as well in which people who have jobs in Los Angeles, who work in the office, obviously have to live in Los Angeles. But you're also probably going to see some people who are relocating, maybe out of state, to a new area because they lost their house and they simply need a place to live in. So to me, this is kind of basic economics. If demand increases and supply is decreasing, what do you guys think is going to happen? Rental prices is going to go up, and also home prices in the vicinity is also going to increase as well. But what do you guys think? That's just my personal opinion. Please leave me a comment below. Thank you everyone for watching today's video, and we'll see you in the next video.